hopefully it won't knock me off the internet. Okay, what's your name? Yes, Tim. What Tim was asking about is at the bottom of, I only see y'all once a week. I don't remember names as well. Okay, so at the bottom of the Evernote for week 8, which I have not posted, this week is week 9. And, oh, come on. Anyway, I'll go down this way and then I'll come back up. Week 9, this week at the end of the week, I don't know if y'all have Thursday classes, but anybody that has Thursday classes, this is fall break. So it doesn't really affect this class, but it is fall break this week. So here at the end of week 8, you'll notice that in week 8 on Thursday, I put all of these in here, which are the problems at the end of chapter 4, but any of them that you all want to go through, we can in person. A lot of students, or not a lot, there was a couple students that had some problems with number 1 on page 152, A, B, C, D, E, and F, knowing how to follow it through and print the output. So I did go through those, and if you want to go through some of those, we can. Then there's chapter 4-3. We did, I don't know why it says 3A. I don't know. I said 3A. I'm not sure why. But there's 4, 5, and then there's the pseudocode and flowchart for number 6 and the HTML for number 6. Or JavaScript, I'm sorry, for number 6. And some students were having trouble when they download them. They didn't realize you can't just double click, it'll open it straight up in the browser. If you right click, you can open it in your text editor, and then you can actually see the code for those problems. And we can go through any of them that you want to. And then down here is the one that's the JavaScript for 7A. And then I assigned for, and I haven't posted in Evernote, to do part B for that class. It was by Wednesday. So either Wednesday or Thursday, because this class only meets once a week. So I'll be covering that in the Wednesday lecture and in the Thursday lecture, and then I'll post it up here, the B, okay? So if you get it done before then. Now, here's what Tim was talking about on Khan Academy. If you didn't read this, it says some students are having problems with Khan Academy, so here's an option. If you have not done any, or if you've done part of Khan Academy and you want partial credit, or if you haven't done any of it and you have a 0, you can either complete Khan Academy and use the project that the extra project that I'm going to give at the end. It'll probably be a couple weeks before the end of the semester, and it will include everything you've learned, just like the final project will, but it will probably be a little more difficult just because it's an extra credit project. And so you can choose to replace the Khan Academy 50 points with that project. Or if you've done Khan Academy or done part of it, then I can give you partial credit for it and part of the project. Or you can use that project to replace a low test score or a test score that you didn't take, other than the final. It cannot replace the final, okay? So if you miss 1, 2, or 3 tests, or you get a real low score on it, then let's see, what did the tests are worth more than the 50 points though? What are they worth? We can, I'll have to look at the syllabus again and see, because I don't recall what my tests are worth more than that. There were 60? Okay. So if you, then if you've taken the test, well, you'll get 50 points. So that's still, if you made, the only way you'd do better is if you made a 60, okay? So if you made a 60, then you want to keep your test score and use that 50 points for one of the other 2 options.
So how do you exactly, as far as Khan Academy, I think I asked this kind of last time too, but as far as all the reading stuff, that's pretty straightforward watching the videos and stuff, but sometimes when it gets to its
To the
exercise
activities?
and stuff. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
how do you actually grade that? Because I've ran into a couple of them where I just give up.
Well, if you did the majority of a section, then I give you credit for it. If you maybe the project, you couldn't figure it out, but I can tell that you tried it, then I'm going to give you
Yeah,
credit.
I'll sit there and mess with.
It tells me how much time you spent on it. So if you completely do them, it'll say completed. But if you didn't, but you worked on it and you did the majority of it, then I give you the credit for it. Okay? Yeah, because I know that's different and I don't really have time to go over those in class. Those are just kind of extra stuff.
And then you said something. When is amnesty? Is that fall break?
Oh yeah, fall break. So that'll start this weekend. You can tell me any quizzes that you want to retake and I'll open those, and you can put any of the projects and assignments, but I up there, and then you need to let me know if I've graded, because I don't remember how many I've graded in this class.
You got a list of the stuff that we.
Yes, the list of the stuff that if I've graded it, you want me to look at it again because you did something to it, okay? And the quizzes, what I'll do on the quizzes is I'll just open them all, but you won't be able to retake it if you've already taken it, okay? So it's only if you did not take it that it'll let you take it, okay? And then I'll go, it'll tell me which ones I haven't graded, and I can go in and look at the quizzes and regrade. Okay, so any questions then about any of this stuff here? And I'll post for week 9 that assignment that I just told you. And I probably won't give, I may give one other problem, but with it being fall break, I want you to work on catching up everything and anything else that you want to redo. So hopefully after today, you'll understand pretty much loops, but the B part of the problem, I'm for sure going over the 7. I just wanted to show you where it was, because that one has one loop, and then B is an outer loop, and that's what it does. Part A of number 7 is the inner loop, nested loop, and so that is the hard part, because that's where all the instructions are. The last part, the part B, you have to make an outer loop that will allow it to read as many customers as it wants. And we'll read that problem and do it. But first, let me see if there's anyone, anybody need me to go through any of these on number 1 on loops in exercise 152, or any of them up to number 7, or can you figure them out going here? Like, let's see, because none of these have the for loop. So I was going to go into 7A, and then we're going to go back and lecture over the last part of chapter 4. Okay. All right. So anybody want to do any of them from 2 through 6, or you can just look at them and have any questions? We'll do 7, and if y'all have any problems, then we'll go back. Did anybody do 7A in this class? Okay, you want to, okay, Laura and who else? You're Laura, and then
Laura.
2?
Yeah.
Okay, 2 of them. All right.
Hornberg.
Okay, so let's go here, and we'll look at one of y'all's and see if, and then you have an example of another student that did one in the Evernote. And so then we have, okay. Go here. Oh, I already have it up here. All right, so this one is 8504. Okay. Oh, yeah, there's 2 Laura spelled 2 different ways. All right. So let's try this one. Is in chapter 4, part 2. Okay. CIT 8504. Save. Okay. Google 2019 CIT, and this is 8504. Okay, so let's read the problem first in case some of you haven't read it. Honest Ralph's Used Car Company allows customers to purchase cars over a 24-month period by making 24 equal payments and charging no interest. Design an application that gets customer data, including an account number, customer name, and purchase price. Output the account number and name, then output the customer's projected balance each month for the next 24 months after the payment is made. So you're going to have a running total all the way down, right? So how many input fields that we're going to ask the user for? That's it, you. 3. Good. Okay, so we're going to have 3 input fields, and then depending upon how you choose to do the problem will determine how many other fields that you'll have. This one is the way Laura did her pseudocode. Laura Henderson, right? Yeah. Okay. Oops, let me get it bigger so we can see. Anybody at the back still can't see it? Let's see. View. Let's see if I can get it that way. All right, so the way she started hers, she went ahead and used var. You could use num and use string for name like they do in the pseudocode in the book, but this is the closest to the JavaScript, and that's why pseudocode is usually beneficial. Whatever language you're coding in, you probably want to match it up. So she's got the 3 input fields, which are name, account, and price. Then she calculates a payment, and then she's going to have a balance. And I'll show you another way they do it. So here she prompted for those 3 input fields. Calculator payment amount by taking the price divided by 2.
That's actually wrong.
Yeah, that should be.
After I ran it.
But you ran. So it should be divided by 24. Okay, because there's 24 equal payments.
Yeah, that was the worst part. Yeah.
Okay, then we're going to write name, account, and payment. So you're going to write headings, I guess, and then a break. And then here says while balance is greater than 0.
My pseudocode actually isn't that great. I should have done.
No, you didn't do that right,
Yeah.
did you? Okay, so let's go
That's how
back.
I tried to do mine too.
And it didn't
Like,
work.
yeah, well, I mean, I was trying to do trying to figure out the logic for it. And I was thinking, well, while balance is above 0, so I started with.
Well,
I
it
just got
will.
lost, and I was like, okay, we're gonna wait till we go to class.
Yeah, the counter. Okay, you should have.
I figured it out better in the JavaScript. And I
Okay,
forgot
well,
my
let's have it.
pseudocode.
A lot of people do that. They like the JavaScript.
I
Okay.
started with JavaScript and then write everything off of it.
Off of it. Well, because JavaScript is more like taking notes like
Yeah.
pseudocode is. It really is. It's not like a real programming language. So it's fine to start that way. Okay, let's look.
Fix my pseudocode.
That's okay. You only had to do one or the other, I think.
I thought I had to do both. So.
Oh, I got to go out of live mode. I don't want it in live mode. Okay, let's do code mode. All right, so I really didn't want all that stuff up there. If I could get it to close. There's a new there we go. All right, so here is the JavaScript. She has the same variables, name, account, price, payment, balance, and oops, that should say var. Wonder why it didn't give you. Yeah, it's still a variable name, see?
Oh.
That's still a variable name. I don't know why it worked, but yeah, it did work. Okay, so document.writeLine, welcome to Honest Ralph's Car Company, and then she did a line break, so that's just output. Here, she did her prompts, and then converted price to make sure it was numeric. Payment equals price divided by 24. Then document.writeLine, name, account, and then payment amount. your balance will be as follows, while price is greater than 0. So this is the way the one that I put in the Evernote is done. They're using price as a decrementing balance, okay? So instead of using this field up here, she really doesn't need, because she decided not to use balance. It would work that way too. You just have to figure out so how you're going to do it, because you can do it with another variable also. But what she chose to do was to take the price minus the payment and keep this one as the total. So it was the running total at all times, running balance. So she just used the field that was the input field, and that was the one that she subtracted the payment amount from each time. What do you see?
I don't like loops.
You don't like loops? Okay, this one's pretty straightforward, because all you're doing is you're testing to see, as long as the balance is above 0, then you want to keep subtracting payments. Now, the way...
I thought you had to add something in there to step it up or step it down as it went. That's what kept confusing me. Like, if you had to add some kind of...
Okay, if it's a count, that's a good... going to go over, because we'll go over that when we do for loops here in a little bit. But a definite counter controlled loop, you do have to do that. And this one, let me open up this other one that the student did. Let's see, I think I have it. It's in here. Was that chapter? I thought it was in here anyway. Oh no, it's this one. Chapter 4, yeah, right here. Okay, because I think he used more of a counter thing. Let's look here. Okay, he has a counter because he knows he's going to go through the loop 24 times. So he did decrement the counter, like you're saying. Okay, so there's another way of thinking about it. What you're saying is true. This is a definite.
Does it say counter -1?
Uh-huh. Yes. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that was right up there. Yeah, so he set his counter up here to 24.
So do you always name it counter? Or?
You don't have to. It's whatever you want to name it. Count, counter, that could have actually been payments.
Actually added into the
what he did here is he calculated how much his payment amount was going to be.
I didn't see while. I thought that I just didn't even see counter anywhere in.
Oh, in there. Okay. While counter is greater than 0. So he's starting with counter at 24. And so it's saying purchase price up here. He calculated how much his payment amount would be. And then he will subtract the payment amount from purchase price, which was how you were doing it, Laura, only yours just checked to see if the balance was
more than 0.
Right.
Okay.
So you could do it either way, will work. Because if we try it, let's go down here and try it. Okay, account number. And then the name. Okay, and purchase price. Here was one that we tried this morning because it was easy to tell. If you just say that something costs $24, then you can tell real easy if it's correct or not. So your cost is $24. Your monthly payment is, only this was incorrect in his. I forgot I needed to fix that. This is monthly payment. That doesn't make sense. That's not his monthly payment. It should say,
Monthly balance.
yeah, your monthly balance, it should say, is, and then we would say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, DW, okay, price 24, And now, so if you subtract $1 each month until it gets down to a 0, it stops.
Nice.
So that will work with, now yours did that too, right,
Yeah.
Laura? Yours worked? Okay, so
Mine
here's,
works even with the weird break.
okay, so here, if you do it this way, this to show you that, you know, you can do it more than one way. There she put the name of the car company. Then if we put the account number,
That was actually customer's name.
oh, I did it backwards.
It's okay.
All
I
right,
didn't
so,
set up a number.
oh, I did do it backwards. Okay, let's see. So I'll do number twice, I guess. And please enter the price of the car. So if we do 24 on hers, then you can tell if you follow the standard payment plan, your balance will be as follows. And she didn't put a comment out beside it. Now yours did not actually print out with 0 because you noticed the difference. And now what did it say to do? Output the account number and name, then output the customer's projected balance each month for the next 24 months after the payment is made.
So would that include the 0?
But if you put more than equal to, then the loop would just run forever, wouldn't it? Because it's always going to equal 0.
Let's see. It would all, if you put,
True.
so if you put, yeah, so it wouldn't. So on the other one, it prints out the 0.
The other one you could put. Well,
Yeah, the other one you could actually,
Yeah.
okay, let's see. On this one, if we said while counter is greater than 0, so why is it printing out the 0?
Because he went a full 24 times. If you put
Okay,
23
so
in
if
there,
you
it's
run it, when we ran it,
the first one don't
You have
count.
to do it at 23.
Yeah.
yeah, you would have to do it at 23 because here your cost is 24 and it says after each month's payment. So he did print it out right, 23, 22, 21, 20. But you would want it to show a 0 balance because if you're paying it off in 24 months. So,
So that'd be a total of 25 instead of 24. So
yeah, because here says, this would say, okay, 24, 23. Yeah, that's right. 1 through
If
20.
you look at my JavaScript, mine counts down from the, mine uses the counter also,
Okay.
and it shows a 0. It shows a balance of 0 with the final payment.
Okay, let's go back. This one, right? Okay. It's gonna be download.
So it makes more sense to use the counter in this instance. That way you get the 0 balance at the end.
Yeah, unless there's a way to do it with the,
Just insert it at the end.
yeah, you could insert. Okay, let's see this one. Okay, enter customers' first and last name. Okay, 1, 2, 4, okay. Oh, I didn't actually, this is showing live instead of 0.00. Okay, let me see if, I don't think it showed out here. Let me do it again. Okay, customers, first and last name. 0.00. Okay, monthly payment is $1. Purchase price is $24. So after payment of $1 balance is 23. Yeah, because you're supposed to show each month down to, okay, and so what was your code look like? You started pay count with 23. And while pay count is greater than 0. So the only difference is instead of starting it at 24, you started at 23 because you wanted
Right,
it to go
because
to a
then
0.
It added in that extra 0, and that's why
Yeah.
I told it to stay greater than 0.
Okay, and then you notice she used the to fixed balance dot to fixed. That's going to take the method or function that is a pre-written one, it's going to use it and make the decimal points, even if I put, okay, let's go. See, if I go here, you can find all of those. There's a reference to all the predefined ones. We're going to talk about some of them here in a minute when we go over the for loops. But, oh, that wasn't what I meant to do. I was going to look at the code and see. Oh, no, that was what I wanted to do. I'm like, my brain's not all here tonight. Okay, let's see. Okay, so if I run this one again, say enter the customer's first and last name, I'm going to show you what that does. And purchase price, say the purchase price is $3,500.00. Now, what that did is it made every payment amount, it cut it to 2 decimal points. Okay, because normally if you didn't put that in there, some of the decimal points would be way out. Okay, it'd keep going. So these, what we see later on, I think it's in chapter 6 maybe, that we do next before we do arrays. We learn about functions, and the way she did balance dot to fix that dot shows ownership, says this to fixed belongs to the variable balance. And so this tells you how many decimal points. These are called the parameters of the method. And so if you wanted to carry it out 3 or 4 decimal points, that's what you'd put there. Okay. So that is, let me show you where all of those you can find them, because there's a bunch of them. And if you want to know how they're used, let me see. W3 Schools shows, I think, has a reference. JavaScript, it should show JavaScript reference, math array. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. Here's some of numbers. Oh, I thought, there they are. Okay, these are some of the methods that work with, this one will return the largest number possible in JavaScript. This will return the smallest number. Those are properties. Here's the methods. Like you can say 2 exponential sub x converts a number into an exponential notation. 2 fixed. So that's the one that we were using. 2 precision formats a number to that length. 2 string converts a number to a string. Value of returns the primitive value of a number. And some of these will show you how to use them, like this 2 fixed. If you click on it, it gives you an example. Variable n equals num dot 2 fixed sub 2, and that's what the result would be. The result of 5.56789 if it was fixed to 2. And then you can play around with it in W3 Schools. You can do this, try it yourself, and you can see the code, and you can play with it if you haven't used W3 Schools. I need to put that in there. I think I put it earlier in Evernote, but I'm not sure. Okay, so any questions about that inner loop? Way you do that, because that's the hard part of problem A, and then of problem 7. Then B is the outer loop. Okay, and so we did that earlier in the chapter. We did an outer loop and a nested loop when we did that quiz, page 124. We created the quiz sheet, like it shows figure 4-5 on there. And that's what the flow chart and pseudocode is on page 125. That's got a nested loop inside an outer loop. So let me see on PowerPoint here, if I can get that back up where we can look at it. Okay, so this one, this figure 4-5, it might be figure 4-3. I think that's it. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so on this one, that may be what knocks me off. Let me see. I'm going to pull this out because I'm not sure if that's what was knocking me off earlier today. And I'll close this. Okay, so if you want to look at 4-5, this was the output that this flowchart and pseudocode created. And you'll notice either if you look here, I'm going to enlarge this for the pseudocode so we can see. All right, I did that. So we can see it, but this is on page 4-6 if you can't see it at the back. But you notice that this while loop inside here is nested inside, it's nested inside of, if I can get it to come over, I guess it's not going to go over that far. Oh, it's up. That's what it is. Okay, so right here, oh, thanks. That didn't work. There we go. No, I think I went down another flow chart. Another slide. Let's go back. And trying to make it where it would. Nope. Slideshow normal. Okay, there's normal. Now where are these guys? If I want it back. Oh, there it is. Okay. This one was only way up the top. Is that the one? No, that's the one with the yeah, that's not the, where did that nested loop go? Golly, it took me way ahead, didn't it? Maybe not. What page is that? 124, which is figure. Okay, what's this figure? 4-7. Okay, so it's not very far up here. I think it's that one's 4-3. Okay, finally got it again. All right, so what we're doing is we have this inner loop that's looping 3 times to print these lines, but our outer loop is a counter-controlled loop also, and it's printing 5 times. But our problem 7b, what you're going to do is you're going to have a sentinel value for your outer controlled loop because you want it to end when the user no longer is inputting an account number, a valid account number. Okay, so like we had the Honest Ralph's going the way it was, but if we were changing this to be one where they could go through and print as many parts as they wanted, then we could say when part number equals quit. And then when the user enters quit, then it would stop the loop right here. So your outer loop is going to have that part A as the inner loop. Okay? You know what I'm saying? So that's this Ralph's loop is this one. Then you'll have one out here that controls how many times, how many customers it works for. So we'll go, I think the for loop may have one like that. So we're going to go back to page 135 in your book, which is where we stopped on for loops. And before I do that, we're going to look at this video clip, the author's video clip on the common loop mistakes, the 3 things that you want to always look at. Oops. So let me go up here and play that. How many of you watched these? Anybody watch this? I thought, so that's why I do them. Okay, so
Sometimes.
sometimes, okay. probably if you, especially this class, because you don't get to have as many lectures, I want y'all to be sure and watch these.
Hi, this is Joyce Farrell. Let's look at avoiding common loop mistakes. Here's a program with a loop. It's intended to output hello 4 times and then output goodbye. The program starts and a loop control variable named count is initialized to 0. Count is compared to 4, and while it's less than 4, you output hello and add 1 to count. Count is now 1. Count is still less than 4, so you output hello and add another 1 to count, and it's 2. Count is still less than 4, so you output hello a 3rd time, and now count becomes 3. At 3, count is still less than 4, so you output hello a 4th time and add 1 to count, making it 4. Now when you test count, it's no longer less than 4, and the loop ends, and goodbye is output, giving you 4 hellos and a goodbye. And that's the end of the program. To have a successful loop, a loop control variable must be initialized. In this case, count is set to 0. A loop control variable also has to be tested correctly. In this case, count is compared to 4. And finally, a loop control variable has to be altered within the body of the loop, or you run the risk of having the loop never end. Here's an example where the programmer failed to initialize the loop control variable. Count is declared, but not given any starting value. So, when you compare count to 4, is it less than 4? Well, the answer really depends on the programming language. In some languages, this comparison won't even be allowed because count doesn't have a starting value. In other languages, there might be garbage in count, so count might be negative or very high, and whether it's less than 4 or not is anyone's guess. So this is incorrect for this program. Here's a program where the programmer failed to test the loop control variable correctly. The programmer wrote count equal to 4 instead of less than 4. There's lots of ways to test the variable incorrectly by asking the wrong question, using the wrong value. In this case, when count is initialized to 0 and the question is asked, is count equal to 4, the answer will be no, and the program will go to output goodbye immediately without ever displaying any hellos. It's incorrect. Failing to alter the loop control variable correctly is also a mistake. In this case, the programmer multiplied count by 1, thereby not changing its values. You might also alter it incorrectly by adding a number other than 1 or completely leaving out this statement. In any event, when this program executes, count is set to 0 and it's less than 4, and hello is output. Then count is not altered. It's simply multiplied by 1, so it's still 0. That means it's less than 4 and hello is output. Then count remains 0, it's still less than 4, and hello is output again and again and again repeatedly. This program is in an infinite loop, and it's incorrect. Again.
Okay, so that one was one that we've gone over before, but it's still good to go back if you're having a mistake in your loop. It's probably more than likely one of those 3 things. If it's something where the processing isn't correct, then it's in those sequential statements that's in the body of your loop. Okay. Now the last there's another one on here that I'm not going to play, or maybe in a little while, but not right now, on nested loops. And this one is the one that will help you with that last I can't remember if they use a for loop in here. I'm going to go ahead and play this because I want to see if she does a for loop. That'll give an introduction to the for loops.
Hi, this is Joyce Farrell. Let's look at nested loops. When you have 2 loops and you remove the body of one and insert another loop, then you have nested loops. Let's look at a savings application. Suppose that you're paid twice a month, and suppose that you decide to save $50 from your next paycheck. The next check, you want to save an additional $5 or $55. Then you want to save $60, $65, and so on, increasing your savings amount by $5 every paycheck. How much will you have after a year? You want your output to look like this. After month 1, paycheck 1, you'll have $50. After month 1, paycheck 2, you'll have $55 more for a total of $105. After month 2, paycheck 1, you'll have $60 more for a total of $165. And after month 2, paycheck 2, you'll have $65 more for a total of $230. Then $70 more, $75 more, and so on. You can declare some variables: month to hold what month you're in, paycheck to hold the paycheck within the month, 1 or 2, the amount saved to start out, $50, and a grand total, which starts at $50. The basic work of the program is to output month and then a month number, for example, month 1, paycheck and a paycheck number, for example, paycheck 1 in month 1, and then a total. Then add $5 more to the amount saved for that paycheck, and then add the saved to the grand total. There's a loop that controls this output. To execute this loop, you'll set the loop control variable paycheck to 1, and then you'll see if paycheck is still less than or equal to 2, because there's 2 paychecks within a month. Then you'll add 1 to the paycheck and check again. While it's still less than or equal to 2, you'll add 1 to the paycheck number and check again. And when the paycheck number is over 2, you'll be done with this loop. You'll put all of that inside an outer loop that controls the months. The loop control variable for this loop will be month, and you'll start with month equals 1. Then you'll check to see if month is less than or equal to 12. While it is, you'll perform the output for both paychecks and then add 1 to month. And you'll continue this outer loop 12 times.
Okay.
So again, here's what the
Okay,
report
so
looks like.
on this one, they used both of her loops were what kind of loops? Remember?
Month.
Let me pause it. Okay. What were they? Were they definite or indefinite loops? Counter controlled or sentinel value? Counter controlled, because she knew there's 12 months. Okay, on your Honest Ralph's, is it going to be counter controlled or sentinel controlled? Sentinel, because we want the customer to be in control of how many, or the user to be in control of how many customers they want to enter, right? So how are we going to do that? Let's look at an example. If you look in your book right after, let's see, the one that talks about for loops, and I'll go back and look at that. There's on page 139, there's a flow chart there. And it says, okay, this is figure 415. Let me see if I can get it up there. I think it's way down there. I think it's this one, maybe. Nope, that's 49. That one's 412. I'm getting close. Okay, this was talking about the for loops. So I need to go back. I think that's okay. Here's 415. Okay, so on this one, what this particular one was just like that one that she was showing. It's an accumulator. It's a report, a sales report, where you're going to ask for an address. A realtor wants to know in a month what the total of sales was. So they input the address and the price, and then they have an accumulator total field that's accumulating each time you go through the loop. But to know when you want to stop, you'll notice on page 139 in the variables there. Let's see. This one I get messed up when I try to make it really big. Up here in the variable, it says string quit equals ZZZ. So they're initializing the variable quit to all Z's. The only thing they didn't do here is they should say, enter the address of the property or ZZZ or Yes, because that's what we're saying here. Address not equal to quit. So in this case, the user's got to enter ZZZ for it to quit, right? You see that? No? Yes, Tim? No? Okay.
Brains melt.
Okay, so this says output heading 1, output heading 2, output, enter the address of the property. But up here, they've set this variable named quit to 3 Z's. And so in our address, our decision box, it says, as long as address, and that means not equal to, is not equal to quit. So as long as they're entering one of these addresses, it's going to do this loop, right? But what's going to make it stop? Yeah, so that's why it'll stop if we say up here and tell the user what to do. But you're correct. Right now, if we programmed it just like it is, it doesn't tell the user what to enter.
Yeah.
So you would just not know. You'd be trying to figure out what to enter to make it end. It would never end. So you would want to put in your output, enter address or ZZZ to quit, right? Anybody not get that? Come on, tell me you don't. Got it? Everybody get it? Okay. All right, so because that's what you're going to use in 7B. You're going to use, you don't have to use ZZZ.
So
What?
like on the previous example, like the one that we were just looking at before, where we're doing nested loops and we're putting loops inside the loops and stuff like that. What does that look like inside of JavaScript? How does that?
Okay, inside it, well, the only thing you're going to change, well, yeah, like in this one that had, where's the loop? Right here. Okay, this one was her loop. Always tab them over so I can see my loop. This loop will become, oops, why is that not going over? The nested loop. So it's going to be way scooted over, just like in pseudocode. And it's not that it has to be scooted over to run. It's just it kind of makes more sense when you read it if you have it indented. So your outer loop, where does it have to start? Let's do one that, let's see, doesn't have the 2 fixed in it. This one you can see pretty simple. Okay, this.
You could take your entire statement there and put it before.
Well, what?
Prompts, or would that,
Yeah, like, okay, your prompts really have to
like
be in
before
there.
you're right, like before, like the, I don't know.
Yeah, all of this right here needs to be in
Trying to
this
figure out when you
loop.
need to know exactly where click is at. Yeah,
Loops are confusing. They won't if you do a lot of them. You just have to do a lot of them. Okay, so where do we need to know this? The payment amount inside the outer loop or the inner loop? Okay, so to calculate it would need to be here, but we don't want to keep calculating it, right? So it would be just before you, it's going to be not, it's not going to change. Well, yeah, it'll change every customer, right? So this part has to be part of that inner loop. Also, this whole thing has to be part of the inner loop, except for the account number, because that's what you're going to determine how many, whether you've got another one. Excuse me. Let's see what it's. Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, so it says modify the car payment application so it executes continuously for any number of customers until a sentinel value is supplied for the account number. So the account number needs to be at the bottom of the inner loop and at the top before you enter that outer loop, right? Because it's what's going to drop you out. Tim's like, what? Okay, so if I was putting this in JavaScript, Okay, I've got to put all of this. Account number has to first, we usually call these a priming input because it's what determines whether we're going to continue. So down here, I'm going to just move this all inside. You understand JavaScript better than pseudocode? You understand JavaScript better than pseudocode. Okay, well, I'll keep it in here and then we'll go. Okay, so all of this, I can actually delete these lines. Let me see if I can. We want all of this. Now, you understand this one, right? How it works. Everybody's got this, right? So I'm going to put all this together. It's not a spread out. I know readability was a good idea because you can't read it as good when it's close together, but so everybody can kind of see what's going on here. Okay, so, oh, I left that one out there on purpose. Why did I do that? Why did I leave this one out here?
That's for your interloops and stuff.
Right, because I've got to prime it. So this is where my while loop will be. After I take the first account number and enter it, what do I need to do?
The sentinel value?
Yeah, okay, so up here I've got to add a sentinel value, right? So I'll add that right in here, var, and I'll just say it's a constant. So I'm going to say quit, and I'm going to tell them to actually enter quit like that. Oops, only I've got to say like that. Okay. So I'm going to tell my user down here in the prompt, I'm going to say enter your account number, or I'll just say an account number because it can be an account number or quit. Actually, I think I can put these in quotes, maybe. Or, oops, quit to quit. Or quit to stop, or whatever makes better sense. That'll be all right. Oh, no, it's not going to let me put those in there. I thought it would not. There's a way to do that, but I don't want to look it up right now. Okay, or quit to quit. At least they know what they've got to do. Okay, so now the first thing I want to do after that is what? You know.
Compare that. You can make a loop, compare that to the.
That's right. So this is going to be my outer loop. While, what do I need to compare? Account number, which was called, where's it? Account number. Yeah, so how do I do that? It's like not equal. That's how you do not equal in JavaScript. Not equal to quit, which is caps QUIT. That's how they did in pseudocode in our book, is they did less than and greater than. But that doesn't work in JavaScript. Let's see, that should do it. While account number is not equal to quit, then I need to start this loop, which is the outer loop, right? And inside that outer loop, I'm going to do all of this. Here's an inner loop. And just before I end that outer loop, what do I need to do? I had a priming input up here, but where do I take in account number again? So up here, I'm asking for account number, and then I'm saying, okay, well, account number is not equal to quit. And then I calculate this user's or this person's 24 payments, right?
You need to tell it what to do when they begin to quit. You need to quit.
Okay, well, what do I have to do to get, account number? I've printed out this first customer. Say this first customer is 1234. Okay, so how do I do that, Laura? How do I get, okay, I'm at the bottom of my outer loop. I've dropped out of my inner loop. I've got one more thing. So what am I going to do to change this? Account number is 1234 right now, right? Well, I need it to be something else. That's correct. So now I would take these two lines and copy them down here because I don't like to retype things. Okay, and so now I'm at the end.
Why didn't you just add that back into the loop that you created up there? You can't do that.
Well, this isn't the loop up at the top.
Or where you put wow, account number is not equal to quit, you would put it underneath that.
Okay, if you did that, that's a good question.
Start without running that inner loop.
Yeah,
I got it.
because
Okay.
it would start there and it wouldn't have it again.
I got you.
Okay, so now when we look at for loops, you can actually do it that way, you're saying. But if you get these, that's the big thing. Okay, so now we're at the end of this loop. So I need to put my closing bracket on this
So as
loop.
long as that loop up top stays true, it's gonna keep running the loop underneath of it. All it's supposed to do.
Right. So now all my outer loop needed is a priming input. If I'm using a sentinel value, it's got to have what's called a priming input, then my test. And at the very bottom, the very last thing, it's got to have a way to alter the input. Okay, so those three things, if it's a sentinel value controlled loop. Okay, so let's see if it works. Okay, enter account number 1234. Okay, enter the name. Okay, enter the price. Okay, let's do our 24 first. Okay, so it did it. It came back. It looped again, right? It says, okay, enter an account number or quit to quit. So if I want to do one more customer, let's say this customer 456, name, enter the price. Okay, this time I'll just put 1,000, or let's just do 100. Okay, now it's saying, let's see if it did it. Oh, I can't see. I'll have to scroll. I don't know if it went through my loop again. I'll have to wait till I get out to see if it did the second one. Okay, so this time I want it to quit. So I'm gonna type in, oops, not with caps. Type in quit. Isn't that what I said it to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it did quit the program. But it never did do my second one, did it?
No.
That's what I was wondering, like when you were doing your brackets,
Okay.
how do you?
Oh, what'd I do that for? Quit. Okay, let's look at it.
How does it know to close on the bottom bracket and not that?
Okay,
first
that second time, the bracket probably was at the second time I put in 456. Account number equals prompt. I put in 456 and it printed out 100. Isn't that what it did?
Yeah.
So it printed out the cost, it printed out the account number, then it printed out the name, the cost, and then it said your account number is quit. That was the last one.
Well, it should go back to that inner loop.
Yeah, it should have went back to the inner loop, right? Because it worked the first time through, so why didn't it the second time through? So we have account number equals prompt, account number. Okay, so let's find out.
See,
Okay,
that's what I was. How does the program know to? Did you
This
put your
is-
brackets in there to want to start in the loop, right?
right? And
So how
so
did that
it
stop?
shouldn't have ended. It should have continued.
But you got another open or closed bracket on that third one. You got 4 of them there. So how does it know to stop on?
Well, see, this one, it kept doing the right the first time. And then when it dropped out, it should have dropped out to here, which it did because it asked us, right? But then it printed 100. So the last thing it did was it went back up to here.
And it forward down?
Oh, guess what? What's counter the second time through? Zero.
That's already been written.
Or whatever it was. Yeah, it's down to 0,
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So what do we need? What else do we need to do? Right before we go into that loop, we've got to reset our counter back to 24, right? Or whatever, was it 23 on this one? 24, this one was the program that said 24. You can do it either. Equals 24. So now let's see what happens. Oh, my battery's about to go, but we're about done anyway. All right, so there was 2 things we had to remember to reset. Okay, enter name, DW, okay. And the price was 24. All right, so we're going to do it one more time. Count number 456. Okay, 1,000 or 100, I said, didn't I? Okay, now I'm going to say quit. It quit. Oh, there we go. But I didn't use Laura's program with the nice 2 fixed in there. So see what it did?
It went to a negative balance.
Yeah. Okay, it sure did. Went to a negative balance. So that means
That's why I did.
that's why she
23.
did the 23 on the count. So you probably want to put hers in. Let me see. Let me put hers in Evernote. Where's it at? Evernote. Okay, let's drag. That one was students 8504. I did download yours, right? What was yours called?
Project.
Oh, I didn't download yours because I was able to just open it, I think. Because yours what? No, yours was zipped. It was called chapter 4. Was it called chapter 4? JavaScript. That's it right there, I think. Be
Yeah,
sure that's
chapter 4, exercise 7A, JavaScript.
okay. So there's that one at the bottom. So now you'll have both of them, and it doesn't have the coded loop, but we did it together in class. So you should be able to go back and go through it and get it working. All right. Okay, we'll be done. I think that's a lot. You might read over for loop and see if there's anything else in for loop on those videos that the author, I can't remember if there's
When are we
anything
gonna be testing on all
tomorrow.
this?
No,
I just fixed my loop.
no, this will be, you're all looped out. It'll be, we'll probably work the next week after fall. Will be next Monday. We'll work on stuff, and then it'll be the following Monday. We'll do loops. So this is the 9th week. 10th week, it'll be the Monday of the 11th week. Okay. Then we'll have to do arrays. That'll be even more fun. And then functions. I'd always do function methods before I do. So we actually do chapter 6 because it's a little easier than arrays first. Okay. And then we do arrays. All right.
So for fall break, anything that we missed, anything we can cram into Google Drive and just.
That's right. That's right. And if I don't have the quizzes open, if I forget, somebody email me and I'll open them. Okay.
I think I just missed like a flow chart.
Okay. All right. You guys have a nice evening, and I will see you later.